Hi people, it's me, Anja. My pronouns all she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new recent reads video. I love filming recent reads videos literally so much, even though recent reads videos tend not to be as popular as some of my other videos on my channel. For example, I'm not surprised at all that my worst books of 2025 is so incredibly popular, but all of the other videos that I posted that week or the week after or the week after that, etc., weren't as popular. But I don't really care about the views. What I care about the most is the videos that I genuinely love making, and I genuinely love making recent reads videos. So I hope that all of these new viewers and new subscribers still stick around for everything else instead, because frankly, I struggle the most with getting all of these new viewers and subscribers to stay. I don't know if that makes any sense. But anyway, without any further ado, the first book on this list is called Escaping Mr. Rochester. This story is a YA historical fiction retelling of Jane Eyre, and it follows two black queer main characters as Jane Eyre and Bertha Mason. And frankly, I really enjoyed this book because I rated it 4 stars. I really loved the setting and the queer romance and the references to the original story. However, I wish that there was more to it. I was really hoping that the author would dive into the intersectionality of blackness and queerness in the 19th century. I don't think that she did that at all, because I honestly feel like besides the cover, the characters don't really talk about how they're black within the text itself. And after reading Wide Sargasso Sea in college a few years ago, I was just really hoping there would be more discussion surrounding being black during this time period. I felt like there was none at all. I don't really know if that's completely accurate or maybe I'm missing something, since this book has multiple perspectives in first person, but I don't know. Anyway, overall, I enjoyed the characters and the queer romance and the setting and everything about it. And it's very true to the original story as well. So anyway, with that said, I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars, and I would definitely highly, highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Eyes on the Sky. This story is a middle-grade historical fiction following a young main character who feels that her weather balloon has been mistaken for a flying saucer in 1947. I think this book is absolutely so excellent, and it's so well done. When I was younger and I read about characters believing in aliens or UFOs or whatever, whether the story was set in the past or the present, I always thought that the characters were so silly and so goofy and just so unserious, and I just never really took them seriously. But contextualizing this story, set in 1947, right after World War II, and how her brother came home from the war to take care of his orphaned younger sibling, and the interest in the unknown and everything, and having no idea the impact of the atomic bombs and everything, and so much of that information I understand now, so many years later. And now I think about how I've lived through the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm sure there's so much knowledge surrounding the impact of that on so many young people and everything that people will understand and contextualize 100 years from now that today I don't know about. Does that make any sense? Anyway, I think this book was so good. I love the characters, the sibling dynamic, the setting, everything about it, the ways in which we think about heroes and soldiers and the war and everything. This book was so good, and I just really, really enjoyed it. So anyway, with that said, I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars, and I would definitely highly, highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called The List of Unspeakable Fears. This story is another middle-grade historical fiction following a young main character who is navigating her anxieties and facing her fears during the typhoid epidemic during the early 1900s, and I think this book was so good. This is another historical fiction era where I now know so much more knowledge about it in 2025 than these people went through then. I think that contextualizing that is so incredibly important, considering how young these characters are. And I loved how the author included Typhoid Mary or Mary Mallon, like, as a character and, like, really humanizing her, because I feel like when I learned about her in school, she was really, like, villainized for some reason, and I just, like, this book was so good. The characters felt like real people, and I understood them, and their anxieties and everything, and her relationship with her parents, and the plot, and her friendships, and everything about this book was so well done and so well researched. And I also loved the author's note and how she really talked about, like, how the COVID-19 pandemic that we all lived through, I guess some of us didn't, but for those of us who did live through it, in the parallels, like, this book was so good and it was so fantastic. So anyway, with that said, I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars, and I would definitely highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. This story is a YA contemporary graphic novel following a young, queer, sapphic Asian main character who's in an on-again, off-again relationship with her girlfriend. I thought this book was so good. First of all, the illustrations were so pretty and so vivid. They really made the story come to life so much more. I loved the characters and the friend group and the queerness of it all. Like, this book was so fantastic and it was so good because I was really hooked from the beginning to the end with the characters and everything that was happening. Like, I didn't know if her relationship with Laura Dean was going to be endgame or not, but, like, either way, I was hooked. I think this book is so incredible and it's so good and it deserves all its hype and so much more. I was a little skeptical to read this book because sometimes when a book is really popular and super hyped up and keeps showing up every time I Google, like, LGBT graphic novels, I was a little afraid that it wouldn't live up to its hype, but it absolutely did. And I loved, like, the art and the story and the plot and everything. So anyway, with that said, I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars, and I would definitely highly recommend it. The last book on this list, and certainly not the least, is called Leo Martino Steals Back His Heart. This story is a YA contemporary following a young gay main character who's determined to change everything about himself in order to receive love, because he's had crushes on all these boys over the years, but they've never once liked him back. So he's determined to get feedback from all of them, to determine to make himself the perfect boyfriend. Does that make any sense? Anyway, I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars because I thought it was so sweet and so wholesome, and I loved, first of all, how normalized the queerness was. There wasn't really any homophobia within this text, and I loved the gay romance. I love his friendships. I love the character development. Like, everything about it was so good and so well done. There's just something about, like, the trope of a main character trying to change themselves in order to receive love, and then finally accepting themselves as themselves in the end. Like, I love that trope so much. It hits every time. This book is such a perfect, like, rom-com. It's so wholesome and sweet and awesome and just so good. So anyway, with that said, I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars, and I would definitely highly recommend it. So in conclusion, July has been a pretty steady reading month so far. I don't think it's going to be better or worse than other reading months. July has always historically been a steady reading month, and then I go on vacation at the end of the month, which I'm planning to leave in less than a week, and I'm very excited. And then that kind of cuts into my reading time. So anyway, in conclusion, I've been enjoying many of the books that I've read so far in July, and I'm very grateful for that. So anyway, in conclusion, I hope that you're enjoying these recent reads videos as much as I'm enjoying filming them. I will continue to film them despite having less views than some of my other videos. But anyway, in conclusion, if you enjoy this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the hourglass emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!